Hello everyone, my name's Nisha and I am the YogicAmnesiac. First off, I'm filming in a slightly different location. It's actually the exact same room, it's just 90 degrees to the left of what you're used to seeing. I think the lighting might work out a little bit better this way. I'm hoping the background looks okay, so let me know what you think. This is the couch that I usually film my talks on, or I'll stand in a corner over there. But let me know what you think about the background and the whole room as a whole like this, or if you liked it more the other way. The lighting, I'm like looking in the viewfinder and the lighting looks so much better this way already. So I might stick with filming this way sometimes. I might go back to the other depending on what's going on. But please first let me know what you think about this background when we're done with the video. Now that that's out of the way, today's video is actually for people with limited flexibility, but I think this is a really good video for people who just need to do a check-in, want to make sure they're doing poses right. Even if you've been doing yoga for a while, if you think you're intermediate or advanced even, it might not be a bad idea to try out this video. Personally, I'm going to try to tailor it more to my less flexible friends. I'm going to demonstrate poses in a way that might be more accessible to people who don't have a full range of mobility like some of us do. But I actually found that when I was playing around with this and really trying to figure out how to explain how to do certain poses, that I was definitely compensating in weird ways. So even if you've been doing yoga for years and years and years and years and years, if you feel like you struggle the slightest bit with flexibility or you just want to check in, this video is actually going to be really helpful for you too. So if you have a belt or a block in your house or something you can use instead of a belt or a block, go grab that, and we might be using it today if you so choose. And just a little disclaimer, this video in particular will be working on just flexibility, but I always like to remind people it's really important to work on strength and flexibility at the same time. So if you're super stiff, totally do this routine and then carry these poses into other practices to help you out and help modify poses, but still work on strengthening. Alright guys, so I'm leaving my hair down right now because it's super wet. I might tie it up halfway through the video if it gets really annoying. But we're going to start seated in Virasana. I'm not on my block right now, just so I can show you how you can kind of modify it. So if you have tight ankles, you might find it's easier to keep your toes bent underneath. If you can, for a little while, maybe flatten them out and sit on them like this. If it's really tight and you really can't get these ankles flat on the ground, roll up a towel, stick it under here just to give you that little extra support and keep the bend here without, putting stress on the tops of your feet or your toes. If you're finding that this is uncomfortable in your knees or hips, this is what a block is for, a book. You could probably use pillows even. Just kind of separate the feet here, set it on down, and sit back on it. I actually recorded my intro sitting on the block like this to give myself just the perfect amount of height. So find what works for you, and if it's really uncomfortable, drape a towel or blanket over top of your block. So we're going to start out here, and I really encourage you to try sitting here for a little while. And if you need to get out of it, totally do it. Move around. You will not build very good flexibility by getting very stiff. So if you feel yourself getting stiff, put out your legs, move them around a little bit, and then come back to it. So from here, we're going to sit up nice and tall. Think about pushing down. You want both those sit bones on the block or on the floor, your feet, wherever they are. Take some nice deep breaths. And try to relax a little bit here. And while you're here, think about if anything is hurting, if you need to adjust. We're going to take it really easy this video. If you ever find that you're uncomfortable, just hit pause, do what you need to, and come back to it. We're going to take our sweet time today. Think about, are your ankles able to touch the mat or floor? Do you want to work on that? Or do you know why your ankles don't touch? Perhaps you've had injury and we're going to finally start working that out. Again, roll the shoulders back, sit up nice and tall. If you have limited flexibility, just sitting up straight in some of these poses is going to be a really big challenge. From here we're going to open the eyes slowly. And let's get off this block because I don't want anyone to have to sit too long on it. Let's sit on down on our booties here. Bring the soles of the feet together in front of you. And here's somewhere where you might find your knees are up by your elbows. You can't quite get comfortable. You're slouching a little bit. And a lot of times, so many of those factors are just crazy things. So what you want to think about is really bending and straightening up your back from the hip as opposed to from your spine. So you want to sit up nice and tall, and I'll demonstrate this a little bit better in a second. But take a block if you need to and place it under the thighs or the knees. And just sit up really nice and tall. You could actually sit on the edge of a towel or a blanket if you roll it up or fold it up. That can help tilt your pelvis forward like it's a building sliding forward if the foundation was crooked. Don't worry about getting those feet in all the way if you can't yet. A lot of people really can't do this. They need to keep their feet out farther in front of them at first. So we're going to do that today. We're going to keep our feet out nice and far. And try to sit up nice and tall. Really focus on keeping that back flat. We're not going to round over today because if you do have limited flexibility, there's a very good chance that you'll be compensating other parts of your spine. And that's actually really bad for you. So we're going to sit up nice and tall here. Take a few deep breaths. Massage your feet a little. Try to relax. Maybe moving back and forth will help you. Maybe you're struggling to sit up straight, so you want to put your hands behind you. If you're on a wall, I got this couch. You can use that to cheat a little bit and help hold your spine up straight, but you can relax. That's such an important part of yoga, is the ability to just relax into a pose, and that's when you'll be able to find the most benefits. But you have to get there first, so that's what we're going to work on. Alrighty, and from here, you can straighten your legs out in front of you. I'm going to turn this way, and I'm actually going to move my hair to the other side. And here I'm going to show you what I mean about straightening from the hips as opposed to the back. I'm going to keep my knees bent here, just for demonstration purposes, unless you also want to have your knees bent. So you want to sit up nice and tall, and you might find that there's a lot of stress right here. If you're looking like this in any way, that means that you're not bending from the hips, you're bending from your spine, and that's not what we want. We want your spine to be nice and long, and believe it or not, you can bring that spine, that nice straight spine, pretty much all the way down to your legs eventually one day. So really think about sitting up tall. And if you just want to learn what that feels like in your back and hips, you can keep your knees bent here and totally don't even worry about getting a stretch. Do worry if you're getting stressed, but try not to get stressed. Just stretching. So keep that flat back once again. And if you do want to straighten out your legs, I find that I actually hit my stop pretty early on. And once I hit here, I start to struggle and I feel my abs kick in and my back start bending, so I can't go very far forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant my hands behind me, flex my feet, straighten those legs, look straight forward, and I'm trying to make sure you can see my back here, but I'm just going to start working on pushing forward with my body, leading with as if there was a little point right here below my belly button, leading with right there. And I'm not arching my back. I'm just leading with that point and letting the back of my back stay really straight and in line with that. And you may find that the back of your legs is stretching out here. And you're like, whoa, I thought I could go all the way here. But really, you can see this is all of my spine bending over. This angle is exactly the same here as it is here. And this is the angle that we want to change. It's super hot here. I finally had to tie my hair up even though it's wet. So really lengthen that spine. Think about keeping that spine straight. These hands are just supporting you, helping to push your back up straight. This isn't time to put your weight in your arms and relax. They're just there as kind of like support beams. I have a lot of building analogies today. I guess you want to take care of your house like you would, your body like you would a house. So really stretch. And if you can, try to come up to 90 degrees here and not use your hands, and you're going to find a little bit more of a workout here. It's a little bit harder. Keep these feet flexed, keep the quads a little bit engaged to hold yourself up. And this is a little bit of a strength thing here, so if you're trying to get a little bit of strength and flexibility in here, this is a good pose for that. You may not feel as much of a stretch though. So we could sink back down, kind of lean back maybe, give your hips a break, shake it out. And then one more time, push on up. Try to get that stretch, that nice bend in the hips. And I really could feel myself loosening up here. It's quite nice. Alright, now release those legs. We'll come back to a seated position in just a second. But we're going to lie on back here. And this is another option you can actually do to stretch out your hamstrings, which I will show you. I'll do it one leg at a time so that we can all do it one leg at a time. You don't need a strap. It's way easier with a strap though, so I highly recommend a belt, anything you can to do this pose with. But this is a good way to stretch out hamstrings and loosen up as well. Alright, so we're going to lift that right foot up, bring that right knee into the chest, bring the strap around the right foot, and if you wanted to do both legs at the same time, you would bring both your knees into your chest and put the strap around both of your feet. Keep a nice loose grip on the strap. The strap is not what's going to be pulling your leg up. That's all muscle work. The strap is just there to give you a little bit extra help and it'll make it a little bit easier. So from here, straighten that right leg, send it on up. Ooh, my strap's all twisted. Send it on up. And this is a really nice way to do this because you can try to keep your legs straight, keep the strap in both hands. I just have it in one hand for demonstration purposes. But you can see here that the bend can't come from my back as much here because I would know if my hips were lifting and my back was curving. So this is a really good way to also keep in mind keeping that nice, straight, long back. And then from here, we're going to straighten that left leg onto the ground if you can, and that'll probably deepen the stretch, and you might want to lower your leg a little bit. But keep both feet flexed here. And don't worry if you can't get a 90-degree angle in this right leg yet. Don't worry about it. Just if you're getting a stretch, you're doing it right. So both feet flexed, your quads are engaged, your hands are not gripping on the strap. They're nice and loose. The strap's just there as a little extra something to help out. And take some nice deep breaths. I hope you guys can't hear my neighbor. They're blasting music over there. And I'm trying to get this video out to you. So please excuse that if you can hear it. I will try to edit it out. So here's to hoping you can't hear it. Alright, now bend that right leg back into the knee. Take that strap off. Bend that left leg, set them both on down. Maybe you want to swing your legs out a little bit here. Windshield wiper your knees, as we say. And then we do the same thing on the other side. If you did both legs, just do both legs again here. So left knee into chest. Strap goes around the ball of your left foot if you have a strap or something you can use. Then we send that left foot nice and high. Again, we keep our pelvis, our hips, the back, low back on the ground as best as we can. And we're just pulling the leg up, hinging at the hip, finding where it stops. And you will find probably that one leg is way tighter than the other. For me, the left leg is definitely much tighter. Now straighten that right leg out. Both feet flexed. Both quads are doing a little bit of work. And just try to relax here a little bit. Take some nice deep breaths. Focus on that good posture. Don't worry again, if your leg's not at 90 degrees, that's fine. You can see mine's not even at 90 degrees here. And that's not me trying to be like, oh look, it's okay. That's actually where my leg is. My leg does not like to go past about here. So don't worry if you're not looking like those pictures we all see on the internet. Alright, bend that right leg, bend that left foot. Get rid of that strap. We don't need you. Well, we will in a second. Alright, from here we're going to do a little hip opener, and this, if you have very tight hips, you'll find that you will probably not go into the complete pose, often called thread the needle. But from here we're going to lift this right foot up. You could take a minute just to hug it in here. This is really good for your back. Kind of loosens everything up. Good for your hips too. You might find you can't even pull your knee fully into your chest. That often just has to do though with your body type, if your bones won't let you do that. So this is not necessarily a flexibility issue. Sometimes you just run into your stomach and that's how far you can go, or your bones run into each other. Alright, so from here we're going to take this right ankle. I kind of do like right above this little bone here at the very base of your leg. Not so much the joint, but the actual leg. And cross it over your left knee. And for some people, you'll start feeling a stretch here. You might even notice that your right knee wants to migrate up towards your chest or towards your nose. So first things first, keep this right knee away from your face. You want it to stay there. You want this line from your knee to your ankle to be nice and straight, like a perpendicular to your body. Like, so your spine is this, your leg is this way. And if you're getting a stretch here, and you might need to push on your knee a little bit, then just stay here. Don't try to force it, don't try to lift your legs or anything, just stay here and figure out if, you want to lift it or anything, but definitely just work from the base and then work your way up. Also, really make sure your right foot is flexed here. It's important to have both feet flexed in this pose, but your right foot is the most important foot to have flexed. So if you can also from here lift up this left foot and bring it the whole apparatus towards your chest. Once again, we're not going to let this right knee collapse in towards our chest. That right knee has got to stay down and stay flat. Of course, again, this is another time where you might not be able to push your knee farther than like here or something because of a bone in your hip. So just be mindful that, again, not necessarily a flexibility issue. Could just be your hips are built that way. This is another time you can use a strap. You can bring the strap through this hole that your right leg is making and around the outside of your left leg and bring it around the right thigh or the left thigh, the back of the left thigh, or the top of the left shin. And that could just make it a little bit easier to pull. This is something that people who have bigger bodies or limited flexibility might find to help, like really, really help you just because it's not comfortable to reach, or you might find your shoulders hunching up. But if you do have that flexibility, you can just grab on and bring it in. But I'll use a strap just to show you how It's done. And we'll only be here for a couple more minutes, or a couple more seconds. Let's really stretch it out here. Both feet flexed. Some nice deep breaths. And set it all back down. Release that right foot. Bring that right knee to the chest for a second. And set it on down. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Bring that left knee into the chest. Hug it in a little bit. Same things apply to the left side that I told you about the right side. It might not be flexibility. Oh, my hip is popping when I do that. I'm going to not do that. But it might not be flexibility. It might just be your body getting in the way of itself. It might be your bones saying, sorry, we grew this way, and you can't go any farther. All right, bring that left foot, cross it over. Keep that left knee not constantly moving away, but don't let it come up towards your chest. Make this a nice flat line perpendicular to your spine. Flex this left foot. And if you're comfy here, you're feeling a stretch, don't really need to lift it up. I say if you're feeling a stretch here, you can just stay here. Don't bother lifting your leg. I've definitely seen people try to lift their leg and then they compromise the whole pose, or they're struggling, or their shoulders are in the air. Just relax, man. Don't worry about it. But if you can, lift up that right leg, weave that strap on through, or those arms on through, and pull it into your body. And if you are lifting your foot off the ground, your right foot should be flexed. Left knee should still be moving away from your body, not collapsing in towards your chest. Breathe here. Try to relax a little bit. Take your time in this pose. Another thing you can actually do is put this right foot, in this case, against a wall and use that to slowly work your booty scooting down towards the wall, and that can really help loosen everything up. All right, release that strap, set it all down, bring that left knee into your chest really quickly. And then from here, just extend that right leg out. And this pose tends to be accessible to most people. I don't think I've really seen anyone who can't do this. But this is another pose where you could totally put a strap around your shin or just let it hang out a little bit more. It's a pretty low-key pose that you don't have to worry about too much. But keep both your feet flexed again in this pose. And maybe take a moment here to rotate your ankles one direction and then the other to loosen them up as fast or as slow as you want. And then bring that right foot back up, set that left foot down, bring that right foot into your chest, send that left leg out nice and long. Both feet are flexed. And then we can do the same thing on this side. Rotate the feet one direction and then the other. All right, left foot back up, right foot down, and we're gonna come up to seated one last time. I just didn't want to do a bunch of these seated poses at the same time. So get rid of that strap. I'm going to sit against this couch because it's here. And I'm going to bring my legs out nice and wide. And if you have super limited flexibility, obviously don't worry about how wide your legs are right now. Just worry about kind of making a general V shape with them. But if you have super limited flexibility, leaning against something is going to help so much, and it's not really cheating. It's totally fair game. Just try to scoot your butt as close as you can so that you're pushing into your hips and your back. It's not your back, top of your back is leaning and the butt is like super far away. But we're going to do the same thing here that we did in our forward fold with our legs together. Sit up nice and tall. Think about the hips being where you hinge, not your back. And stretch it out here. And I would usually say relax over, but we're not going to do that today. Just because we're focusing on getting these little kinks out, and we don't want to teach ourselves to compensate with other areas of our spine. Keep the feet flexed and really sit up nice and tall. This is another pose where you could sit on a rolled up towel or blanket and kind of let your hips just slide forward. My dance instructor says you sit on a towel, scoot super far forward until your butt kind of falls off, but the fleshy part is still on, and it'll help push your whole body forward and tilt your pelvis. And that can really help some people. I've never found it very comfortable. I know a lot of people don't find it comfortable, but some people live by it, so I totally recommend trying it at least. Really stretch it out here. You may feel like, oh, but I get a better stretch if I do this, but you're still compensating, and that's not stretching out the same muscles necessarily. And it can really take time. And this is something I'm definitely really working on right now too, is learning to bend from my hips and not compensate with my spine. So you could be like me and having done yoga for years and years and years, and you still can't touch your toes. So don't worry, it happens. Alright, and from here, I'm going to bring my feet into Sukhasana or crisscross applesauce, whatever you want to call it. All sorts of ways to sit like this. And I find if you're more flexible and you have the range of motion in your hips already to sit in this pose, Sukhasana can be super easy, but if you don't have that range of motion, it might be easier to sit with your legs crossed in a more typical way. I find this super uncomfortable. I don't know why anyone sits like this, but people do. So we're going to end our practice here actually just sitting up nice and tall, getting some last little stretching out in our legs by sitting in this pose. This pose is super hard for a lot of people. This is another time, I didn't say it, but I meant to say it. You can also actually just sit on a block here and cross your legs in front of you, and that'll help to slowly work your ankles up towards your pelvis and slowly work everything out. So don't worry, it's really hard. A lot of people just do not get their knees on the ground. And another thing is if you have a little bit of extra like fat or anything on your thighs, if you're curvier, you might find that you just stop earlier because the ground meets your thigh before your knees meet the ground. Or, again, your bones might be stopping you and your bones might be saying, sorry, we can't go any further. I'm just a bone. I'm here. So finally, just sit up nice and tall, close your eyes, try to relax here, try to sit up as tall as you can. And if you're really struggling and you want to lay on down in Shavasana, absolutely go there. But if you want to wait a couple more seconds with me, maybe wait for the outro music or wait until it's already started and then lay down in Shavasana so that we can work out our hips, get some final stretching in our legs, then that is awesome too. So don't worry if you have limited flexibility. Don't worry if you've ever been in a class and been super confused about how to do something or why something doesn't feel right. You're doing fine, and sometimes teachers just have so many students that they don't have the opportunity to offer these little more in-depth modifications or things like that. So with that, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Please enjoy this last little minute of Shavasana or relaxation while you can. And take some time to really thank your body and loosen it up a little bit more throughout the day if you have the time.